Hey there lovely people, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I really do appreciate your support. And my name is Mercy. I live in Australia, but I was born and brought up in Kenya. In today's video, I'm going to talk about how to become a permanent resident here in Australia. In case you're out there, probably you're planning to migrate to Australia and you're wondering, how can I become permanent resident, or how am I gonna transition from being a student to becoming a permanent resident? I'm gonna be discussing that and more. If you like this kind of video, don't forget to like this video and share this video with your friends, just in case you have someone out there who you think is gonna be interested in this kind of video. Don't forget to forward this video to them. Thank you so much and keep watching the video. The first thing I want to say is that when you're deciding on the kind of course you want to study here in Australia, it is always very important to check on its prospects or the chances of you becoming a permanent resident using that course, because like we all know, there are so many courses offered here in Australia in different colleges, in different universities, and all the courses are not going to lead to you having a permanent resident. You know, there are some courses like accounting, like for example accounting, nursing, computer science, you know, education and teaching. All those courses can allow you to become a permanent resident, but that's why I'm saying it is really so important when you're deciding on what kind of course you're coming to study. Is it going to give you a permanent resident at the end of your studies, or probably that is not you want, and still that's okay. Probably you just want to come here and study and go back home, and there's nothing wrong with that as well. So when you're deciding on what kind of course you want to study, make sure you look on the dynamics of that course. So that is one point that I want to emphasize. Please note that although your occupation might be on the list of courses that can help you become a permanent resident today, it might not be on the list by the time you're deciding to apply for permanent resident. So it is always very important to note that, because you know the immigration rules keeps changing all the time. There are a number of ways available for students that can allow them become a permanent resident here in Australia, and the way that is right for you or any other student for that matter is going to be determined by so many factors, including age, work experience or qualifications, and English test. I'm going to discuss this topic in three parts. Number one is postgraduate visa. The second one is general skilled migration, and the third one is employer-sponsored visa. The first point I want to talk about is post-study work visa. This is where after studying here in Australia for 2 years, probably you're doing your bachelor's, you know, your master's degree. After you've completed your school or after you completed your studies, you're given 2 years, and 2 years where you can work and live in Australia. You can work a limited amount of hours. You know, you don't have the 40 hours condition like what you have when you're on a student visa. So within these 2 years, you know, you can gain experience on which you can use the same experience to apply for a permanent resident, or the work experience is going to give you more points when you're applying for your permanent resident. And of course I'm going to discuss that on my next topic. At the same time, within these 2 years, you can use the 2 years to apply for your permanent resident if you're eligible to apply for your permanent resident. At the same time, you can use the 2 years probably to get another school if you think that your course or you don't qualify for a permanent resident. So within these 2 years you can do so much, to be honest. You know, it all depends on can you apply for your permanent resident? Do you have all the points? You know, do you want to go back to school and study a different course, and probably that can lead you to having a permanent resident? Like I said from the beginning of this video, if that is not what you want, you probably want to come here and study for 2 years or 3 years, then go back home. That is perfectly okay. But if you want to study here and you want to get a permanent resident, probably you want to settle down here, then I think after you finish your studies, you get your graduate visa, that is the 2 years. You can do so much within those 2 years. Like I said, you can go back to school if you feel that you don't qualify for permanent resident, or probably your course is not on a skill list of the courses that can enable you have a permanent resident. At the same time, you can have a work experience, or you can apply for your permanent resident within those 2 years. Then which you can become a permanent resident here is General Skills Migration. This is a program for permanent visa based on your skills, your work history, your qualifications, that does not require an employer to sponsor you. And there are a number of requirements that you must meet if you're going to apply for this program, that such as the skills, your skill set, they have to check your English test, as well as the points test. And the points on this program are going to be determined by age, your work history, your study history, and your work experience for that matter, as well as your English test. So like I said from the beginning of this video, depending on the kind of course you've studied here in Australia, you can as well apply for your permanent resident when you finish your studies, and you can use this method, General Skill Migration, to apply for your permanent resident. If you did nursing, accounting, and all the many courses that are there, you are eligible to apply for your permanent resident after you finish your studies. Probably use the 2 years that you're going to be given, that is the post-study visa. You can use the 2 years to gain more experience, and apply for your permanent resident. Next one which you can apply for a permanent resident is employer-sponsored visa. This is where an employer can sponsor you to become a permanent resident here in Australia, and of course you will be working with them at that particular moment. Let's assume probably you're a nurse, maybe a hospital or any healthcare industry can sponsor you to become a permanent resident, or probably you're an accountant, any accounting firm can sponsor you to become a permanent resident. But of course there are so many factors that are looked into when an employer is deciding to sponsor you for a resident here in Australia. The next one which you can become a permanent resident is getting married to an Australian citizen, or getting married to someone who is a permanent resident here in Australia. You can come here, you study, and probably you get your partner, you get married, and your partner can sponsor you to become a permanent resident here in Australia. So that's another way, and those are the ways that you can transition from being a student to becoming a permanent resident here in Australia. And of course it's a process. It's not a one-night thing, like today you're a student, tomorrow you're a permanent resident. It's a process on whichever way you're gonna use, the General Skill Migration, employer sponsored visa, or probably you're gonna get married to an Australian citizen who can sponsor you to become a permanent resident. It's a process, it takes a process, and of course there are so many other factors that are looked into when you're applying to become a permanent resident here in Australia. And I hope this video was helpful to you. If it was, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel, because it does help with the growth of this channel. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. I'm so grateful, and I don't take that for granted. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to be kind. Don't forget to be kind to one another. It really doesn't cost anything to be kind to one another, like I always say on this video, and I'm not gonna stop saying that. If you cannot say something nice to your friend, something nice to a person, if you cannot inspire someone, you cannot motivate someone, you cannot encourage someone for whatever reason, you can as well remain silent, because it doesn't cost anything to be kind to one another. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. I'm gonna leave a link on the description box below. And I do a different kind of content on Instagram, because I love fashion, I love dressing up, I love putting outfits together, Please, if you love that kind of content, don't forget to follow me on Instagram, and I'm sure you're gonna enjoy my content. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on my next video. Thank you.